everyone, and welcome to my channel. Today's video is a story by KaijuWriter, and I think you'll really enjoy it. The link to their Reddit account will be linked below, so please go check it out. And please subscribe to my channel and become part of my spooky little YouTube family if you haven't already. But now, it's time to get cozy, get comfortable, because it's about to get creepy. Natural Beauty by KaijuWriter. Should you ever find yourself passing through Luckenbach, Texas, you might be surprised to see a tree on the side of the road with a pink ribbon wrapped around it. If you were to ask any of the people in or around Gillespie County, they might tell you that it symbolizes love between two lovers, or it is a marking for a victim of a terrible accident. Each of those are valid answers, but aren't the truth. For you see, in reality, there is a much more horrifying and equally saddening reason for that ribbon being on that tree. It all has to do with a girl named Jessica. All her life, Jessica lived a life in the shadows. She felt that she wasn't beautiful enough and didn't have the right body for anyone to love. Her friends and family would always retort that she was wrong, but she would hoot and holler at everyone, saying that they were wrong. There were days she would lock herself in her room, nearly starving herself to death, just to get that figure she wanted. After spending days in the hospital recuperating and going to see a therapist, people thought she was starting to get better. Yet deep down within her chest, Jessica still hated herself. She would curse at God in silence. Her family was strictly religious, and she didn't want to start a fight with them over that. She would stare at models in magazines, hating them for having a body without having to work for it. Oh, how she hated them constantly. Then one day, she decided. She had tried and tried everything she could to make herself free from these horrible thoughts that plagued her. She had left her home from Fredericksburg, Texas, driving down the lone road that made its way through Luckenbach. She pulled her father's '95 Chevy Camaro to the side. She stared off at her purse that sat in the passenger side. But she wasn't really staring at the purse itself. It was more that she was staring at what was inside it. After taking a couple deep breaths, she reached her hands inside, pulling out a dusty Taurus 357 Magnum. Remembering how her father always opened it and closed it back after loading it with a hard slap, followed by a small, soft tap, she did the same and aimed the barrel at her forehead. She clutched it as tight as she could in her hands. She muttered swears under her breath as her body shook with uncontrollable fear. Even in this moment that meant she would be free of all the pain and hatred of herself, she still hung on to fear. As she cried and cried, wanting so desperately to pull that trigger, a tap came from the driver's side window. She froze. Who could that be? She wondered. She was right to think that, for Luckenbach was a ghost town only visited during certain times of the year for an annual music festival held by the top country musicians. She lowered the Magnum to her lap, rolling down the window to see a pitch blackness. But not the blackness from the night. No, it was from some old, dingy, worn-out pair of suit pants. That is when she raised her eyes upward to see a tall, lanky man dressed from head to toe in an old-fashioned black suit. She peered out more slightly to get a good look at the man's face, but from his scrawly, bushy facial hair and the way he held his top hat, she couldn't get a good look at him. Then a voice came over her, almost in a rhyming sort of fashion. "Good night to thee. I came upon thee, I see, in a most horrible endeavor. Can I take it that thee wish to end that so many have, but only once?" Jessica hesitated as she spoke. The man tapped the cane that Jessica hadn't seen until now against the paved road. "Oh, dearie me, did I make a bad observation? Oh dear, I'm sorry, miss, but I could have sworn I felt something amiss." "No," Jessica said. "No." She shoved the dusty Magnum back into her purse. "I'm fine. Just a bad day. Always a bad day. She muttered that last line. The man tilted his head slightly to the left. Oh, I see. Well then, the thing I see is that you did indeed need my help. What? Oh, no, I'm fine, she sputtered. The man smiled. I can tell. Oh, yes, I can. It's all over thy face. Suddenly, the man did a small little twirl. It was during this that Jessica saw that the man had long, flowing dreadlocks that seemed to shine a vibrant color in the night. He came to stop in his twirl by bending forward in a gentlemanly type greeting. If something you wish can be achieved, I may be able to bring it. The man raised his left hand, snapping his fingers. Suddenly, something appeared between the man's index fingers. My card. With hesitation, Jessica accepted the card from the man. It was pitch black, with no written words on it. What is this? Jessica asked. When Jessica moved the card, colors of neon shone on it like those you would see on a holographic trading card. It's pretty, she said. A small grimace came on her face, forming a frown. Now, don't frown. Make it a smile. The man held out his hand. Now tell me what you wish for, and I can make it happen. Jessica chuckled to herself. If you can make it happen, it truly would be a miracle. She leaned forward, resting her head against the steering wheel. It'd truly be God's work if you could do what I ask, what I wish for. The man smiled. Oh, that shouldn't be a problem, for I have powers beyond him, to a degree. Jessica smiled with a scoff. I see. Jessica glanced at the card, staring intensely at its neon colors. Well, if you can, or if you could, strange sir, can you make me more beautiful than anyone I know? Very well. Jessica shook her head. Thanks for saying that, but I know. Just then, Jessica sat frozen at what she saw beyond that driver window. She tried to scream, but it couldn't escape her mouth as soon as a large cluster of neon lights bathed her. Jessica arose with a huge headache. She groaned in pain as she lifted her head from the steering wheel. Falling asleep in that position had stiffened her neck. She did her best to rub away the stiffness from the neck. Then it hit her. That man. Those neon colors. She looked around, only to find daylight outside the driver window. Had she fallen asleep after coming here? She saw her purse lying in the passenger seat with the magnum barrel barely sticking out. Yet what she saw laying against the barrel tip shook her with every fear she once had as a child. A solid, black card laid on the barrel, facing upward at her, like a quiet snake ready to strike. She jumped out of her seat, nearly about to fall as she did. She searched around desperately for that man, but it was for naught. He wasn't there, as if he had been a bad dream, yet she knew it wasn't a dream. She had physical proof it wasn't a dream. As she regained her composure, she reached for the door, stopping to look at herself in the side mirror. She couldn't believe what she saw. She grasped the side mirror so tight that she could have broken it off with one small swing. She couldn't believe it. Her face. Her entire face. All the blemishes she had, the dimples she hated, her ugly matted curly hair and thick eyebrows, all of them were gone. It was like she had went through a character creator for a second time. I'm... Jessica could hardly say it. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she stared at herself more in the mirror. I'm beautiful. She rushed straight home, shocking her parents. Her mother dropped the huge stack of pancakes she had made for her father as he stared at his daughter in disbelief, her young brother's mouth agape full of soggy cereal. However, she didn't stay to answer their barraging questions. She searched for that one dress she had her mother buy many years ago, a pink dress like those you would find the upper class of society wearing back in the 50s. She put it on, finishing it up with a cute pink bow that helped tie her hair in a tail. She flung past her still shocked family to stroll, yes, stroll, not drive, into town. The people who saw her stopped what they were doing to awe and gawk at her newly found beauty. Boys who had never given her the time of day in school came rushing off to her, some of them shrugging off their girlfriends, who responded in angry huffs. Older women came to her, asking her secret for such a sudden change. Jessica smiled and laughed in delight in finally having the attention she deserved. As the day grew on, the stories of Jessica's beauty, a small-town girl, reached the ears of a modeling agency. In months, Jessica's face was plastered all over magazine covers, billboards, and TV. She would gush over all the attention she would receive. She never thought in her life she would be where she was, a small country girl bumpkin who hated herself so much that she was about to blow her brains out, now is living a life where everyone wanted to see her and wanted to know her. All the mail and love she received from strangers on her beauty filled her with a joy she never knew she would have. She always felt that her life would be one of shame and regret. Yet now she knew that wasn't to be the case. Finally, she found the life she wanted, and nothing was going to stop it. Or so she thought. A few years into her modeling, Jessica waited for a call from her agent. She had been approached to pose on the cover for an auto magazine to help the company featured in it show off their new vehicle. She knew she would get the cover, for she always did. But when she received the call from her agent informing that they had went with a younger model, she began to shriek. She couldn't understand why they would choose another over her. Wasn't she still beautiful enough for them? She still had the letters and gifts coming in from her fans. So why, then, did they choose another? She stared at herself in her bathroom mirror. Of course she still looked beautiful. How could they be so blind? Then a thought came to her. Well, this is just one shoot. There are more out there, more for my beauty to shine. Oh, if only wishful thinking could really help. In the days that followed, every top shoot she wanted to do had been taken by a younger model. She cringed and yelled at all the calls from her agent. Why? Why was this happening? She had become beautiful, so why was her beauty waning now? Standing in her apartment, surrounded by all the things she had threw in a fit of rage, she came upon another thing she received that night along with her beauty. She held that strange black card into the light, its strange neon colors shining ever so vibrantly, just like that night years ago. Of course, he was the answer. If she wanted to be beautiful again, then he would help. But how would she call him? The card held nothing on it. She looked over at the time. It was late. It would be hard by now to get a flight back to her hometown in Texas. Yet she felt she needed to go. She needed to do this. With a long flight from California to Texas, she rented a vehicle driving all the way back to that ghost town of Luckenbach, Texas. She parked on that same part of the road, but this time, instead of sitting there waiting to kill herself, she stepped out, the humid Texas air hitting her face. She held the card tightly in her hand. She looked all around for the man. With no sight or sound of the man, she began to wonder if maybe he died. Of course, a man she met 5 years ago wouldn't be in the same area. Then in her ear came a whistle that sounded like a wolf trying to imitate a train whistle. She focused on the sound, turning to her left. The man stood there with a smile. This was the first time she actually stood to face the man. He was much taller than she last remembered. "Do you remember me?" she asked. The man cocked his head to the left a bit, then moved his eyes downward to see the card in her hand. My, if it isn't the flower I helped bloom that night." He pulled out something from his jacket. It was a magazine from 2 years ago in which she appeared on the cover. "I've been watching your work for the past years. I must say, my dear, you've done quite the work." Thank you. However, I came here today for your help again," Jessica cried. The man smiled. "Again, my dear? Oh, why do they need my help again? Aren't you beautiful to the point that people flock to thee?" "Yes, I have fans that love me dearly. Ever since that day, everyone has treated me different. I gained so many loves that I forgot all their names. But lately, my beauty seems to be drifting past everyone. They all look forward to these new and young girls." The man stood silent, his long neon hair flowing without any wind at all. Jessica clutched her chest. "I thought that day you made me more beautiful than everyone. So why?" The man held up his right hand, waving it in a no fashion. "My dear, don't you remember what you asked me that day?" "Yes, I asked you to make me beautiful," Jessica said. The man formed a wicked smile. "No, my dear, you asked me to make you more beautiful than the people you know, so that is what I did." "Then make me more beautiful than everyone. I want to hold a beauty that no one else can hold." The man's smile vanished. He cocked his head once more. "More than everyone? So you mean all of humanity?" "Yes," she cried. "Make me more beautiful than those even etched into the annals of history. I have to be beautiful." The man tapped his cane against the paved road. "Well, my dear, the only thing more beautiful than humanity is that which is natural." "Then do just that!" she shouted. A warm gust of Texas wind came brushing by her. When she glanced back at the man, she found that he had teleported right in front of her. He touched the pink ribbon that tied her hair, smiling that wicked smile from earlier. "My dear, if that is what you wish, then so be it. Your beauty will be known by all that come and go." "You mean it?" she asked. The man nodded. "Yes, for that beauty will be rooted forever." Again, like that night, Jessica watched in horror as a vibrant array of neon colors shot from the man. Yet unlike that night, Jessica let out a scream. Her scream echoed over the road as it silently vanished. The man dusted off his left shoulder. The black card Jessica held in her hand fell to the ground, vanishing into the night. The man fixed his collar and walked down the road, letting off that strange whistle that entered Jessica's ears. In place of Jessica now stands a large tree with a pink ribbon. Those who pass by wonder who died, or wonder who would leave a ribbon there, of all places. Yet those who know the story know the truth. For the beauty that Jessica sought in her final times was that of nature. It is often said to be careful what you wish for, but in reality it should be stated to be careful of the one who grants those wishes. For if they are anything like that man Jessica met, then your wishes shouldn't be answered. Beware of that man that comes whistling a strange tune and tapping a cane as he comes and goes. Beware of that man that talks in a rhyming fashion, whose hair flows like neon. Beware of that man who offers you a solid black card. Beware of this man that has come to be known as Mr. Neon Black.